Michelle Obama, the former First Lady, has been a role model for many women and girls. She is not just an example of success, she has also given her words to encourage people around the world who are struggling with their own insecurities. She has given a TED Talk on her book, Becoming, in which she talks about her experience of being a woman in the workplace and overcoming imposter syndrome. In the talk, she talks about how she had felt like an imposter at work and how it was only when she got to be in charge of her own office that she felt as though she belonged. She also talks about how it is important for women to have mentors who can guide them through their careers. Did you know 39% of people find themselves doubting their abilities and feeling like an imposter? No, not that imposter. Every day, people are losing the chance to share their voice, and in turn, they're missing out on opportunities to learn and grow. They question whether they have what it takes to speak up. They silently wonder if they're qualified enough or if they should be worried about not fitting in. Embrace your imperfections and stop doubting yourself. So let's tackle imposter syndrome and trust your instincts and go for it without hesitation. So you may be asking, what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is a term coined by Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes in 1978. It is a psychological phenomenon where people are unable to internalize their accomplishments and have persistent self-doubt. The imposter syndrome is a well-known phenomenon among high-achieving professionals who, despite evidence of their competence, persistently worry that they're frauds and don't deserve the success they've achieved. Imposter syndrome can occur at any stage of one's life, but it is especially common among those who are in the process of transitioning into new roles, such as students entering college or new employees starting work. People with imposter syndrome may feel like they don't belong or deserve their position and will often compare themselves to others around them. I know, it sucks, but it's true. So you may be sitting there wondering, do I do this? Well, here are some signs of imposter syndrome. The signs of imposter syndrome can be classified into 3 categories: behavioral, emotional, and cognitive. Behavioral signs include inappropriate self-sabotage, such as procrastination, working too hard or too little, underperforming in public settings, preoccupation with whether one is being watched and receiving feedback. Moving on to emotional signs, feeling inadequate, feeling as if they're not good enough and that others are better than them, feeling like they have to work harder than others to be noticed and appreciated, restlessness, anxiety, and irritability when not being watched or receiving feedback from others. And lastly, cognitive symptoms of imposter syndrome can include feeling like everything is going wrong, guilt over success, and comparing oneself to others. Different aspects of imposter syndrome can be treated depending on the individual. Now, on a more medical side of things, different aspects of imposter syndrome can be treated depending on the individual. Cognitive therapy is a type of psychotherapy that can help with rumination and avoidance behaviors. This treatment may also involve validation, self-compassion, and cognitive restructuring. Social support groups and online communities may also be beneficial treatments. So, in short, if you're looking for a list of signs of imposter syndrome, here it is in short. Having an inner voice telling them that they're not as good as others, feeling like people are only nice to them because they feel sorry for them, faking competence or confidence, and lastly, giving up easily when faced with challenges. So these are some signs to look out for if you feel like you may have imposter syndrome. And if you feel like you have these, don't fret, because next we're moving on to how to deal with imposter syndrome in any environment you're in. Now, it is important to know that imposter syndrome is not just a personal problem. It can also be an organizational problem. For example, if you have employees who are constantly worried about being found out as frauds, they may not be able to focus on their work, which will lead to decreased productivity. The first step in overcoming imposters' high workplace is acknowledging the problem. Once you do this, it becomes easier for you to identify the triggers of imposter syndrome for yourself and your team's members. You can then take steps to prevent these triggers from occurring or mitigate their effects on your team. Imposter syndrome is a common phenomenon that many people experience in the workplace, so don't fret It usually happens when someone is expected to perform well and they have fears of being exposed as a fraud. The best way to deal with this is by acknowledging the feelings that you are experiencing and understanding that these feelings are not going to go away. The more you try to suppress them, the more they will come back. After this, it's important for you to take steps towards overcoming it by doing things like practicing self-compassion and seeking help from your colleagues or therapy. So right now, you have to be real with yourself. The importance of assessing yourself and your imposition on others. In our world, we live in a society that is constantly judging us, whether it's the clothes we wear, the words we say, or even the food we eat. We are always being told what is right or what is wrong. The problem with this is that it can have a negative impact on our self-esteem and confidence levels. So right now we're going to discuss how to reassess your identity as an individual and how to build up your self-esteem and confidence levels. Self-esteem and confidence are two things that people want to have in life but don't always understand how to obtain them. Self-confidence comes from feeling good about yourself both internally and externally, which means you should find something about yourself that you think is important to you. And not only think, feel. Assessing your own self-worth and how you are perceived by others is an important step in any person's life. It can help you identify the skills that you have and the skills that you need to work on, as well as the ways in which you can better yourself. Self-esteem is a person's opinion of themselves. It's how much they like themselves and feel good about themselves. Self-confidence is a person's belief in their ability to succeed at something they are trying to do. So let's wrap this all up in a nice bow. So our final thoughts on overcoming imposter syndrome. Inevitably, everyone in the workforce or in any area of your life will experience some form of imposter syndrome. It's just a part of life. There are many ways to overcome it, but it's important to remember that you are not alone in this struggle. I hope this video has helped you understand the symptoms of imposter syndrome and some of the ways that you can overcome it. If you are a freelancer, especially a freelancer, it is important to remember that your skills are valuable and that you deserve to be paid for them. If you're an employee, it is important to know your worth as an employee and not let anyone else dictate how much value they think you have. You are capable and enough. Thanks for watching. And as always, please subscribe.